order of tip-off, Kentucky and Vanderbilt comes first, so that's the one we're going to hit. Vanderbilt led this game a good bit of the first half. Tyrin Lawrence had one of the best games of his season, 23 points, 9 rebounds. But in the end, guys, this became the Rob Dillingham show, one of many Kentucky players who can just take over a game for a stretch. Kentucky got out and running and kind of ran away from Vandy late. Actually, Kentucky made a run in the final couple minutes of the first half. And in that one, other key figure, Antonio Reeves, who else so consistent for the Cats. Blake, I'll let you start this one off here. Kentucky won the first one easily. The second one wasn't as easy. It might have been Kentucky playing down to the competition, but nonetheless, the Cats needed bad loss avoidance, and they got it.
Yeah, you made that sound a little more dramatic probably than it was in terms of the beginning of the come from behind aspect. Like
it's true. It's actually true.
No, I was just about to say that. You are factually correct. Like they did come from behind to win this game, but I never got the sense past about the, couple minute mark in the first, even then, probably 5 minutes left in the first half, that Kentucky wasn't going to eventually kind of run away with this thing, and they really didn't until late. But yeah, I mean, they went up double digits with 10 minutes to go, and you just knew from there that it was trouble for Vanderbilt. So, yeah, I mean, Max and I talked about it in the preview, I think. I said, Max, that, the wild stat you're not going to fully believe is the fact that Kentucky's only beaten Vanderbilt by double digits twice or once in Lexington since 2011 or 9 or something like that. So, not surprised at all this game was close for a while, because we did kind of bring up that trend. If you wanted to bet it, it looked okay there, just because of Vanderbilt had played them close. And, of course, Vanderbilt had beaten them, 2 out of the last 3 times or whatever the number was. So, yeah, but as always, this is just, matchup-wise, we saw how the first game went. You just felt like eventually, even if this was going to be a little bit of a grind for Kentucky, the matchups just are not there for Vanderbilt to be able to pull this off in a 40-game or 40-minute setting. And so, yeah, Kentucky winds up making the plays, and no surprise that this kind of played out the way that it did, because, as we've always said, it's just at some point in the game, Kentucky's talent's going to take over, and that's kind of what happened here. And, they're back to hitting threes. That also helps. I mean, if you look at what they've done now, remember that stretch we were talking about there a couple weeks ago? They just weren't making a lot of threes, but now they've hit at least 9 in 4 straight games. They go 11 to 27 last night. And so, yeah, they shot 54% against Alabama, 33% at Mississippi State, 45% against Arkansas, 41% now against Vanderbilt. So that's also an added bonus. You got a lot of great offensive players. The shooting seems to be back in effect, although we'll see if that stays intact at Tennessee on Saturday. But, yeah, I'd say this game probably went about as you would expect. Not surprised to see Vandy make it interesting for a bit, but Kentucky was going to pull away, and they did.
The computers didn't think it got all that interesting. Looking at KenPom here, and while we might have thought it got a little shaky in the first half, Kentucky's lowest win probability of the whole game was 90.9%.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though that first half looked pretty shaky, there was never really a doubt. The craziest thing that I'm looking at is 27 assists on 37 made baskets. They're just, I don't know why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I just think it's a crazy stat. But what I also saw, I think it was on Twitter, I saw it, was John Calipari kind of talking about how they can afford front court pieces to not play well. He went with Big Z later a little bit for more offense, was going on Yensu earlier a little bit for more defense, has Bradshaw, has had Mitchell in foul trouble, has the arrow. So just the amount of pieces that Calipari has in the front court. I know it's Vanderbilt, but kind of on display here.
Blake, can you consult your big notebook of free throw shooting? Because I want to ask you a question. Vanderbilt shot 13 free throws. Kentucky shot 9. That's got to be near an SEC low for free throws shot in a game this year.
Maybe. There have been some other games that have been played pretty clean. Not the majority, but there have been some other clean games. I don't know if it's, again, 22, maybe lower. Maybe by the end of this video I'll have the number for you. But look, this game was played in under 2 hours. Anytime you can give me an SEC basketball game under 2 hours, I love it. I enjoy the sport. It's great theater. But I also don't like games that go 2.5 hours, which seem to be the norm sometimes in this league. So 1 hour, 51 minutes per Ken Palms official timer. So great played game. A wonderfully played game to go an hour and 51 minutes. So
other thing of note, it just hasn't been a lot to talk about with Vanderbilt this year. What they're 8-22 after last night in the conversation for worst season ever in Vanderbilt basketball. I think beating Arkansas last week might have technically kept them out of that. We'll see. I'd have to maybe Blake's got that in his big notebook of stuff too. But Vanderbilt's to the point where the season's been pointless for a while, except for the thought of potential coaching change. I've heard various things. I've heard that there's a buyout that's a lot higher than it should be for a guy who hasn't won many games in 5 years. So any thoughts on that one, Blake Lovell?
Nope.
I think if we saw a coaching change, you would think that would perhaps happen over the weekend before the tournament, but we'll see.
Here's why I'm joking, but like I don't have any thoughts because I'm going to say the same thing I say anytime
they're not. You think they're not making a move
about Vanderbilt's coaching status in any sport over the past decade. I don't know. It's Vanderbilt. That's all I got. So
yeah, I think that's
anybody else. If there were anybody else in the SEC, I could give you a strong answer maybe.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I don't know. It's Vanderbilt. So I'm sorry.
I'm in the same boat for the record.
Not all Vanderbilt fans want to hear that, but I think a lot of them know that's the reality. You can think it should be this way, you can think it should be that way, but I don't know. It's Vanderbilt. So
here's a quick question for you guys, and it's not coaching related, but I'm looking at the schedules here, and I may have noticed something. I don't know if there's anything to it, but remember last year when Alabama had the regular season locked up? They had one game left of the regular season, and they played a hungry Texas A&M team to finish the regular season out. And Texas A&M beat Alabama after they had clinched, right? Who does Tennessee play?
Kentucky. And I've thought about that, but I'm gonna give you a little teaser here for our preview, perhaps. Tennessee's got a lot more to play for than just
I was just throwing it out there.
A clinched SEC championship and pride.
I was just throwing it out there.
No, I had that thought this morning too.
Okay.
But then the other set of thoughts came into play.
Makes sense.
So, anything else?
Yeah, just quickly, maybe talk about consistency. You're not going to get a lot of recognition for it, but I mean, Vin Allen Lubin has been pretty consistent for Vanderbilt. We talked about the big two all year, but I think, hey, at least that's something where he's been consistent for them. And then I think we also have an obligatory, have to mention, Reed Sheppard in any video we do. And of course, Max talked about it, 27 assists last night. Not Reed Sheppard, the team did. Although we wouldn't be shocked if Reed Sheppard had 27 assists.
Seemed like he did. What do you have?
He
11?
sees the floor as well. Yeah, at 11. But yeah, so and look, I mean, I think it's too. It's look at what Max mentioned earlier, kind of like the front court guys and the rotations and all that. And man, that's just a luxury Kentucky has, and that's where I wish I knew right now who their matchup was going to be in the NCAA tournament, because you can just start to see the wheels turning now. I think for this team, and I mean, again, they've been a different team since that loss to the Zags, a month ago now. And if you don't lose at the buzzer to LSU, we've talked about it before. You think about how different the conversation is right now. So
just keep them out of Florida's region. That's all I ask.
Keep anybody out of Florida's region. Anybody. because Max got him in the Final Four.
If not beyond. All right. Speaking of animals, Mississippi State made a furious comeback in the second half, also known as Texas A&M quit scoring for a while. A&M did have, 4 guys, 13 points or more, but my goodness, there was a scoring drought there. I'd kind of tune this one out because I think A&M was up 22 points. Josh Hubbard kept shooting the threes. A&M hangs on and wins. I think that lead got to 2 or 3 in the final 2 minutes. Mike, I'll hit you first. What have you got here?
I'm surprised you would throw it to me this quickly for this game because you sound real thrilled about it.
I'm real thrilled.
Well, look, A&M had – I was trying to do the math before we started recording, but we know that's not my strong suit. A&M had 54 points with 17 minutes and 22 seconds left in the second half. And that in itself, Mississippi State should just – how do you give up 54 points in this team to 23 minutes? But, yeah, I mean, but A&M is playing well at the time. That's what we say. Like, they've got the upside. Like, it's there if they just play well. We know they got good offensive players. It just has not come together this year. They've not been able to, numbers-wise, to put it where they need it to be a consistent team. 54 points with 17 minutes and 22 seconds left. And then you scroll all the way down the play-by-play here. You just keep going. They got 59 points with 8.5 minutes left. That is almost 10 minutes where they score, 5 points? That's it right there. And it's not like Mississippi State was like just going crazy themselves, but that I think they went on a 20-2 run, whatever it was, something like that. This was the kind of game we thought it would be, minus one team getting a large lead. Like, it winds up being where you just get full-on drought scenario for one team. And it winds up being close, which, again, I did not expect this to be a blowout either way. And so, but it's like, I don't know how you describe this game. Like, this was one where we said Mississippi State has struggled on the road this year. You can't put yourself in that kind of hole, getting down 23 or whatever it was they got down. And yet, I can't say, like, as I'm watching this that I'm thinking, all right, Mississippi State's going to make the comeback. But it is at least in my mind to where I'm like, okay, well, Mississippi State defends, maybe not in this game, but could Texas A&M just, go on a scoring slump here and Mississippi State find a way to make it interesting? You're like, at least it's in the back of your mind because, again, you just know the way these two teams play, and ultimately it played out that way to where it gets as close as it did. What got down to, what did you say, Chris? 3, I think it was, something like that. Yeah. But hey, here's the story. Texas A&M won the game, and that is something. And you guys know I love my ESPN alerts because I don't know what kind of vested interest ESPN has in the Texas A&M Aggies making the tournament. I do know they got a little deal with the SEC from what I hear. They may have them as a number 1 seed right now. I don't know because the alerts I get every time Texas A&M plays a game is they're still there. They're not going anywhere. Obviously, this is a little bit different because they won this game. And so, hey, they're at least still in the conversation. So this, we said, every game's a must-win for A&M the rest of the way. And this was a big one. They got the one at Georgia. They got this one. And, they're at least hanging around. So
they moved to A&M, that is, moves to 49th in the net after last night's win. And also with some other results that get baked into it. But 49th in the net and be left out of the tournament. I don't have all those trends, Chris, but I feel like that would be a pretty high exemption. Do you have any of those? Would you know how high the highest is? You're muted, Chris. Well, Chris tries to get on.
Sorry. I was looking some things up and silencing the keyboard tappity tap. But anyway, yeah, Warren Nolan is really slow this morning. I was trying to pull that one up. I mean, they're 6.
What's your take on their postseason, their hopes?
I have to recenter it with everybody else because they're not in a vacuum. I mean, look, they got 7 losses in quad 2 and 3.
Yeah, but they do have 6 quad 1 wins. And guess
how many
teams in the SEC have more than them?
Usually that wins out, but usually teams that win 6 games against quad that are 6-6 against quad 1 aren't 7-loss teams in quad 2 and 3. I mean,
sure, but
we like to say, oh, well, the committee does. I mean, committees are different every year. Their priorities are different. The bubble's different. I don't know. I'd have to spend some time on it, and I haven't as of this morning. Maybe we'll get there.
Yeah, so Henry Coleman update. There's not much. All I know is that he didn't travel with the team and was never in play for this game.
Wow.
Buzz Williams, was never going to play this game, according to Travis Brown. Shout out. Get a lot of my Texas A&M news from him because you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it from Texas A&M themselves. So, but here's the crazy thing, guys. Isn't Texas A&M one of the most physical teams in the conference? Would you agree with that? One of the most physical.
Yeah, I mean that's a large list of teams, but
right, but they're up there with one of the more physical styles of play. Mississippi State shot 7 free throws. Last game, Georgia shot 6. They've given up a total of 13 free throw attempts with the past 80 minutes of basketball. That's significant. That is significant. I don't know if there's just a complete change in defending style, but Buzz Williams said after the game, he said, we've gotten the most turkeys. That's 3 stops in a row. Buzz always likes to talk about the turkeys. He said they got the most turkeys in the past 3 games they've had of any 3-game stretch all year. So something about this Texas A&M defense, whether they're defending without fouling now or something about them. I know they've played, I think it's the 7th, 8th, and 9th offense in the SEC, but still, something about this Texas A&M defense is giving me a little bit of a different vibe than earlier in the season. I think something's clicking here.
I think after that Arkansas game, where those 2 teams combined to shoot about 842 free throws, a 5.5-hour game, I think that changed everything. But seriously, it kind of has. If you look at the numbers, like since then, like they've not really allowed a lot of teams to get to the free throw line. Arkansas got there. Now, of course, that's also the nature of just how Arkansas plays too. But I mean, yeah, since then though, you mentioned, I mean, that's a good stat because really since then they've been in a position where they've not allowed a lot of teams to get to the line a ton. Even South Carolina only got there, I think, 13 times in that game. And so, yeah, I mean, look, we have certainly had our fun with A&M this year, but I'm going to tell you why. And I know some A&M fans may see it as just like, oh, these guys just don't like A&M. It's not true. I think where I come in with this is I think it's frustrating because I think we came into the season having higher expectations, and it's been frustrating to see this team. And I think that's where our frustration comes in is like, we don't know what to make of A&M on a game in and game out basis. And they had the player of the year in the SEC last year, had the preseason player of the year in Wade Taylor. And so, I mean, you're just thinking, all right, like they're going to find a way to easily get to the NCAA tournament. And then it's like, okay, you go on a 5-game losing streak in February, which includes losses to Vanderbilt and Arkansas. And you're like, well, what do you do with this team? They've lost twice to Arkansas. They've lost to LSU. They've lost to Ole Miss. These are all teams that are not going to make the tournament. Sorry, Ole Miss. I don't think so. Sorry, Max, too.
It's okay.
But like, you know, they've beaten these other teams, right? That's what we say. It's like, okay, well, they beat Mississippi State. They blew out Tennessee. They beat Florida. They beat Kentucky. You know, they beat Iowa State, who's the talk of the town right now. So, yeah, it's just, what do you do with this team? You just never know. So,
okay, the Coleman thing is interesting because I brought that up, I don't know, a week ago, how he's just become less and less a part of things. When I was looking early in the season, I mean, and you're kind of making your list of who's the top 15 guys. I mean, he was in that conversation, depending on how you wanted to weight this or that. I don't know what's happened there. When a team misses the mark as much as this one has, and then you see a guy like that that's not even, did you say didn't even make didn't even dress?
Yeah. Didn't dress. I don't think he traveled with the team. I'll double check, but I don't think he was even with the team. Yeah.
I mean,
Henry, I'm reading word for word right here. Henry Coleman was not with the team during warmups and not on the Aggie bench. He did not play or travel to Georgia.
Talented player, started his career at Duke. I mean, you've got Wade Taylor. I was making a list. We're trying to do our prep work for all SEC teams.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Blake's already
would Henry Coleman be in your top 84, Chris?
Oh,
he would not,
gracious.
And that would be an upset. But the other guy that would be in the top 84 for sure would be Wade Taylor. He's just not nearly as high on the list as I would have thought. And I don't know if that's his fault or the fault of the surrounding cast because they can't score. I mean, you can parse that a bunch of different ways. But the point being, that's one guy. I mean, if we'd said who are A&M's top 3 players preseason, I think it would have definitely been Taylor, Radford, Coleman. Coleman probably being the third. Now Coleman's not even dressing, and Taylor's not having anything close to the season that we would have thought. Again, I'm not blaming Wade Taylor for that. He's having to take a high volume of shots on a team that can't hit shots regularly, which puts more attention on him, but it just hasn't fit together the way that we would have expected.
Wade Taylor's not having the season we thought, just from an efficiency standpoint. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. Okay.
Because the numbers are there.
Well, what numbers are we talking about?
Well, I mean, he's been pretty consistent scoring wise.
Okay, Blake, you've seen the working list that I've got for our all SEC team, and I went deep
last night.
I know you did. Well, I mean, I've ranked 42 players. I'm not saying there couldn't be more to rank. I'm just trying to make sure we cover all our bases. In those 42 players, the lowest 2 true shooting percentages belong to Wade Taylor, 48.8%, and Tyrece Radford, 48.7%.
Okay, I guess.
Let me give you a comparison of guards above him. Dalton Connect, 60%. Mark Sears, 67%. Zion Pullen, 57%. If you want to look at guards, I've ranked ahead of those guys. Like the worst guard when it comes to true shooting percentage is probably Zakai Ziegler at 55%. But Zakai Ziegler's game is a little different than theirs. And that's my point.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying I still think Wade Taylor's had a high level, top level season. Maybe not SEC player of the year.
But would you put him top 10, 15 players in the league?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would. Yeah, I think so.
I think he would be more towards 10 or 15 for me, but probably be in there.
I think he's got to be in there. Because I can't just go. That's the thing. We could have this conversation all day, and we're just not going to do it. But,
and we will.
Well, you will. But I think that's the point. You said, okay, the 2 guys with the 2 worst true shooting percentages. Yeah. Well, I think, you also compared them to guys that if you look at the supporting cast around the other guys, the drastic difference in what Tennessee, Kentucky, and Florida have around those guys. And that's not taking – I'm not saying he should be the player of the year. I'm just saying I think just going by the percentage, I maybe a little bit unfair to Wade Taylor. That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree. I just don't know how much to weigh, because you got to give a guy credit for things he doesn't do and knock him for things he doesn't do well. And that's where I have a problem, because we know the situation. We watch this team play. You know where the ball's going when the shot clock runs down. That puts an unfair burden on him, but you also got to be fair to the other guys in the conversation too. I mean, you can't just go say, Wade Taylor went 6 for 27 from the field tonight, but
Well, he didn't.
But that's okay. And we're gonna dock
Well, he didn't go 6.
Chad Baker Mazar because he's got a better supporting cast.
All right. We're not having this discussion the rest of
I
the
got I have 2 names.
I'm
I
not
have 2
knocking
names for you.
this.
And it's almost I did not get many things right in my preseason rankings. Did nail Tennessee. Got a few others way off. I had Texas A&M 9th. I had 2 names for you. Julius Marble, Dexter Dennis. Insert those 2 names into this lineup. They're not losing 5 in a row in February. There's not even a shadow of a doubt if this is a tournament team. So I know Dennis was a senior. I'm just saying his loss was big, but Julius Marble not being with this team is huge, and we just completely fly over that fact that, like, end of the summer just gets announced. Oh, no, Julius Marble. Oh, okay.
Well, if you know Marble's not going to play the whole season and Coleman's not even getting dressed at the end of the year, you will have known something went really wrong there.
Right.
All right.
I just want to see Blake's top 84.
Wade Taylor, the 47th best player in the SEC per Chris Lee spreadsheet.
That is not what I'm saying before this gets taken out of context. I'm just saying you got a lot of stuff to consider, and you got a lot of really good players. And you make fun of me for ranking that many guys. There's a lot of really good players. Like if I rank my top 20 and I told them to you right now, you could be like, well, that doesn't include this guy, this guy, this guy. And that's the kind of year this league is having.
I agreed. We have different approaches to how we view players. We have different approaches. That's all I'll say. I still think Wade Taylor is a top 10, 15 player in the league. I would say that with full confidence. Full confidence.
I can't wait.
He may make your 8th team, but for me, he's going to probably make one of my top 3 teams. So,
okay, I'm gonna do a quick exercise.
Oh boy.
Wade Taylor or Talon Cooper?
Oh, don't do this now.
Here's
I'm
the
going
thing.
to do it now.
Okay, but you're looking at a spreadsheet that has about 84 different categories of stuff. We don't have that spreadsheet in front of us.
Excuses.
Okay.
You're making fun of me. You're already preemptively criticizing me for ranking Wade Taylor too low. I'm gonna put you on trial. Judge Judy, I'm gonna do it right now. A little bit of it.
Well, yeah, but you're putting me on trial based on your 19 color-coded spreadsheet that I just do not have in front of me, and I do not want to look at right now, to be honest.
You disregard the stats anyway. You know it. Don't use that as a crutch.
Gosh. All right, give me another name. Who else are you putting in the same
You didn't
category?
answer my first question.
Now, who else are you putting in this category? Wade Taylor, Talon Cooper, who else?
Walter Clayton, Josh Hubbard,
well,
Matt
I'm going to
Morrell,
take Walter
Chad
Clayton.
Baker-Mazar, Rob Dillingham.
I'm not arguing that he should be above Walter Clayton. Here's what I said yesterday. I think you have Walter Clayton too low on your spreadsheet. So I think you got him too low.
I think you have every Florida player too low.
I agree with that.
Here we go.
I agree with that too.
We're gonna go to war Sunday night.
What's your stance again? Why don't you like Florida, Chris? You don't. I mean, we know you don't like Wade Taylor. Why don't you like Florida? Huh?
Judge Judy, I'm not on trial here.
Wade Taylor.
I don't know who's on trial anymore.
We appreciate your hard work here at Southeastern 14. Some of us don't, but some of us do. Okay? I know it's been a trying season in College Station. You've had to do everything, but we still appreciate your hard work as the reigning SEC Player of the Year.
We spent 30 minutes on Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and Kentucky Vandy.
That's where you went wrong, Max. We went about 10 minutes on Wade Taylor. We spent about the other 20 minutes on the 2 games. So,
jeez,
5 on Chris's spreadsheet.
Blake Lovell's gift is he can knock the other people without having to answer the question. It's a tactic.
All right, here we go. Talon Cooper. Give me another one.
All right. Meechie Johnson or Wade Taylor.
Meechie Johnson. Give me another one.
All right, you answered Josh Hubbard.
Josh Hubbard. Give me another one.
Matt Morrell.
Matt Morrell. Give me another one.
Chad Baker-Mazar.
See what I'm doing here, Max. Chad Baker-Mazar. Give me another one.
Rob Dillingham.
Rob Dillingham. Give me another one.
Alan Flanagan.
Alan Flanagan. Give me another one.
Now you've gone too far.
Come on, you're not getting a straight answer from me on any of these. Get out of here. Wade Taylor, your award will be sent in the mail. on Sunday when we do our live SEC Awards show Sunday night. That's the plan right now. Just letting you guys know. So
you
Blue
heard
Cane.
it from the man himself. Blue Cane.
Blue Cane.
There you go.
There we go.
Blue Cane was not on the list, but we could devise a scheme to get him there. Name value. Best name.
Texas A&M
Best
fans
name counts
at
for
Chris
something.
Lee 70 on Twitter.
Let's see what this man's doing. He's an instigator and an agitator.
Someone's
and a
gotta do it.
non-question answerer. He's an avoider. That's what he is.
I answered your questions on about 8 straight players.
Yeah. Either you're sarcastic or you prove my point. And I think we know the answer.
I don't think we know. Max and I are not sure what you mean by that. So, all right. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you all. Southeastern 14, 15,000 subscribers now. You guys are great. A lot of live streams coming your way. As we said, we're going to do our SEC Basketball Awards on Sunday. And, we'll do our usual Saturday night stuff. The live stream's a big hit with the audience out there. So we appreciate you guys. SEC tournaments next week. It's March.
Southeastern 14, where sometimes we engage in serious discussion and sometimes we put off the difficult questions that we can't answer. Hope you enjoyed it.
Get the Disney song in the background. Let it
We
go,
are presented.
let it go.
We are presented by Bet Online. Thanks for watching.